Bender don't look back, cause his neck joint don't turn that way.
Many such cases. Hello, Internet, I'm Ren, and today I want to talk about the Futurama Season 12 finale, Otherwise. This episode had a lot to live up to with its connection to Meanwhile, Futurama's one-time series finale prior to the reboot.
What do you say? Want to go around again?
I do.
While I don't think it quite reached the heights of Meanwhile, it had a perfect mix of sentimentality and sci-fi with an ending that didn't pull punches and had profound implications for the larger Futurama universe. But let's get into it. Spoilers for Otherwise and Futurama generally beyond this point. The episode starts with the Planet Express ship in crisis.
We're under attack! Evasive action!
After Leela tried to adjust her seat.
We're not under attack. I was trying to tilt my seat back, and instead, the ship went into catastrophe mode.
Bender gets mauled by the magnetic can opener.
Down in the valley.
And sings a folk song in a classic callback to previous episodes. The ship crashes back into headquarters, and the can opener cuts a hole to free everyone and is hailed as a hero.
Thank God the can opener had the presence of mind to cut an escape hole.
It's a hero!
Side note, I love the 3D Scrabble Hermes and the Professor are playing. It's just such a fun little parody of the 3D chess from Star Trek. The Professor decides to junk the ship.
Poor old Bessie. I'm afraid her time has come.
And has it towed to the graveyard of spaceships.
The graveyard of ships. The plasma sea at the bottom of the multiverse.
It's basically like a cosmic time soup.
What are those smeared currents under the surface?
Merely jet streams of alternate realities. All that is, was, or might have been.
And it's as cool a design as it is a concept. The Professor gets misty reminiscing.
I built that ship with my own 2 hands, as well as several hundred high-powered hydraulic hands.
And we get a little callback to the pilot episode.
Did I ever tell you about all the different lengths of wire I used?
Yes.
Some of the crew are more sentimental than others.
She saw us through lots of great adventures.
And a few mediocre ones.
Honestly, some of those 3-part adventures were kind of sloppy.
Zap and Kif show up to officiate the ship's funeral.
When a vessel so renowned as the Planet Express ship is laid to rest, it's only fitting that the dupe's greatest hero say a few words in tribute.
And do so musically.
Or better yet, sing them. That ship is like a ship on the ocean.
Kif doesn't seem to be feeling that Dupe Boys choir energy, though.
So rock the boat. Come on, Kif.
Don't rock the boat, baby.
But he kills it on the bagpipes. Which I love seems to be a cultural thing his planet has adopted. The ship is about to be scuttled.
There's still a few minutes before the scuttling charges detonate and sink your ship forever.
But Zap invites the crew to board it for one last look.
So if you'd like to pay your final respects.
They reminisce.
This ship was my first home when I came to the future.
And we find out that the ship has been carpeted this whole time, like a 90s Trek ship.
I slept right here on this stained carpeting.
Yo, what stained it?
I always assumed it was some kind of hard flooring like tile or paneling. Gross, honestly. I feel like a spaceship really is the last thing you actually want to have carpeted. There's also a reference to Bender's romance with the ship in Love and Rocket.
How can you meatbags get so weepy about a ship?
Didn't you once have a torrid affair with this ship?
Which he recalls with about the fondness you'd expect.
I have torrid affairs with lots of things. Then I move on. Bender don't look back.
But personally, I am fond of the Planet Express ship. Its design is so distinctive, and something about it has always felt so cozy. I started watching Futurama over 20 years ago, which for me was in elementary school. And it's such a big part of my sense of humor, as my poor partner can attest. So I did get a little emotional watching them all say goodbye to the ship that's been such a big part of their adventures, even knowing that it would restore to the status quo at some point and the ship would be back. Fry has a little sit in his bunk and gets a rush of visions, including things we've seen before, like his love note to Leela in the stars from Time Keeps on Slippin', as well as some of the other realities from the Farsworth Parabox. And also things we haven't seen, like Fry and Leela holding what looks like a son or grandson. He gets overwhelmed and collapses. Everyone disembarks but realizes Fry was left behind, so they run back to get him.
Quick, we've got to find Fry!
Only to be scuttled along with the ship and fall down into the plasma soup. Scruffy takes off his cap sorrowfully. revealing a second smaller hat underneath.
So, this graveyard need a janitor?
That just cracked me up. I love Scruffy. Fry wakes up on the platform above the graveyard with the crew around him. He describes what he saw.
I started seeing flashes of things that happened, also things that didn't happen, except it felt like they did happen, or will happen.
But no one seems to believe him or really understand.
Well, these things happen, or don't, or will, or let's just go.
He decides to propose to Leela.
So tonight at sunset, I'm meeting Leela on top of the Vampire State Building. I'm gonna ask her to marry me.
And it's the same plan as in Meanwhile, on top of the Vampire State Building. As an aside, I love the futuristic gothic aesthetic of the building. It's just so good. Fry presents her with the ring, but gets another deja vu attack featuring a few scenes from their alternate timeline life together in Meanwhile. And he bangs his head on a gargoyle and passes out before he can actually propose. Poor little fella. They take him to Zoidberg, who also dismisses it as deja vu.
But this sounds like a textbook case of deja vu.
Although alternate realities and time loops are on the table.
Could Fry be seeing some kind of alternate universe? Or a time loop?
Nonsense. Those things are completely possible and happen all the time.
Fry tells Leela he wants to marry her, but he needs to figure this out first.
And all I ever wanted to do is marry you. But first, I need to understand what's happening to me.
And she's supportive.
I'm not going anywhere.
The professor unveils a flashy new ship packed with features.
It's even got a new cloaking device I invented.
Do I feel an electric seat warmer?
You do. The AI automatically adjusts to ambient butt temperature.
And various lengths of wire.
All the latest lengths.
But it doesn't have the charm of the original ship, although it does have a cloakroom.
And a cloakroom!
Fry isn't impressed with it either.
I miss the old ship. I feel like maybe something important was on it when it sank. This ship's nice, but it feels wrong.
Bender is outraged when the professor informs him that not only is the can opener there, it has its own quarters to reward it for its heroism.
Well, I'm just happy it doesn't have a can opener.
That's where you're not happy, Bender. It even has its own sleeping quarters.
What?
The new ship makes deliveries such a breeze it isn't actually any fun. On the way back, Bender brings a gun to a sword fight with the can opener,
Oh, yeah?
but experiences instant regret at the loss of his nemesis.
How can I go on? My nemesis is dead.
Fry thinks he sees a glimpse of the old ship when something appears on the radar,
What? What is it, boy?
The old Planet Express ship. See it?
I don't see squat.
It's right there.
but no one else sees it or believes him. And the new ship is pretty insulted by Fry's fixation on the old ship.
I wish we'd never scuttled the old ship. This new ship just can't replace it.
You know, I can hear everything you're saying.
The news runs a story about ghost ships, which Zapp insists are just cloaked pirates in a stolen ship from the graveyard.
We suspect pirates have salvaged an abandoned vessel and equipped it with cloaking technology.
Fry insists it's their ship, but everyone is skeptical.
I saw that ghost ship. It's our old ship, but nobody besides you is seeing it.
He asks to go see if their ship is still there, so he, Bender, and Leela return to the graveyard. It's locked and guarded by the Nimbus, but they pull a crafty maneuver to get around it. And weaponize Zapp's unique approach to command.
But the graveyard's locked up. How are we gonna get in there?
Pure dumb brute force.
To get through.
Sir, how are we going to get in there?
Kev, we're invisible now.
Simple, but effective. They look around and see that the ship is indeed missing,
Okay, that's where our old ship sank. But I see little, if any, wreckage.
and Fry concludes it is the ghost.
That proves it became a ghost and started haunting me.
Then an invisible ship fires on the Nimbus.
Incoming fire from that empty spot over there, sir.
Playing hard to see, huh, Leela? Return fire.
Which fires on the new Planet Express ship, which is also cloaked.
Someone's firing at us and missing badly.
Sounds like Zap. Return fire!
So Leela and Zapp both start firing at each other, and the Nimbus crashes, and Kif and Zapp surrender and come aboard.
Attention, Leela, wherever you are. We victoriously surrender and triumphantly beg to come aboard.
But someone keeps firing on the new Planet Express ship. Zapp takes command,
Let's get out of here!
No, Leela. Running away from ghosts only encourages them. I'm taking command.
and when they're out of missiles, fires the escape pods.
Then we'll have to improvise. Fire all the escape pods.
Trapping them.
Hull breach imminent.
Quick, to the escape pods.
Fry and Leela ask a grudging Zap to marry them.
I'm just sorry we never got a chance to be married.
Me too. Wait, a ship's captain can marry people. Please? Captain?
And despite his objections,
Do you, Fry, a delivery boy for God's sake, take Leela to be your wife? I do.
and interjections.
And do you, Leela, who deserves better, take Fry to be, and I mean a lot better, to be your husband?
I do.
The wedding is really sweet. They kiss, and a final missile blows up the ship. As we stare in stunned horror, we see that it was fired by the original Planet Express ship.
I'm blowing up enemies with friends.
Containing another version of the Planet Express crew, who also thought they were firing on a ghost ship.
I still don't get who those weird ghost ships were, or why they were attacking us.
This version of the crew was trapped on the ship and drifting through timelines as they repaired it. And this Fry is still processing his visions.
I was having some crazy visions, memories of things I can't possibly remember.
And he draws one of them for Leela, a scene from Meanwhile.
Like what?
Well, like this.
Whoa, we look awful. But happy.
And they decide to find out what it means together.
What does it mean?
I don't know. Let's find out.
And a folksy cover of Mutineer plays us out to the credits. And y'all, this might be my favorite episode of the season, which is a really hard pick because the season as a whole was so good. I just love the way they set up such a challenging follow-up to Meanwhile. And the ending really got me. It reminds me of several Star Trek episodes, but particularly a Voyager episode called Deadlock, with two Voyagers from different timelines bumping into each other with tragic consequences. And I think this episode will stick with me similarly. But I love the implications for the Futurama multiverse, which at this point was already a tangle of alternate timelines and realities with episodes like the Farsworth Parabox, the late Philip J. Fry.
Pow! We took care of the time travel paradox.
And Bender's Big Score, and many more. We've always kind of known about and even seen different versions of the Planet Express crew, but this episode reminded us to not always take for granted that we're watching the same one, while cleverly smoothing over many minor inconsistencies in the show's canon, including the various episodes that end in unresolved doomsday scenarios. For all we know, we've followed dozens of versions of the Planet Express crew, potentially including the ones in many of the various anthology episodes. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It was a great end to the season and wouldn't have made me mad as a series ender, even if it wasn't quite as perfect as Meanwhile. It was surprisingly close with all of its loving little callbacks to the start of the series.
And over there is my intergalactic spaceship. And here's where I keep assorted lengths of wire.
Did I ever tell you about all the different lengths of wire I use?
But Futurama has been renewed for 2 more seasons, so we don't need to worry about that. That said, it did give us the sentimental sweetness and progression in Fry and Leela's relationship that I was hoping for this season, while featuring Futurama's trademark wackiness and creative sci-fi ideas that add to the complexity and richness of the world. The ending was a bold and dramatic choice that really stuck the landing and felt incredibly bittersweet, with the juxtaposition of the heartwarming beginning to a new chapter of one Fry and Leela's story, while another pair's was cut senselessly and tragically short by them, and they don't even know it. It's unforgettable, and it's what makes Futurama such a brilliant show. All right, that's all I have for you. What did you think of Otherwise? What's your favorite alternate Futurama reality so far? Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you next time. Wiedersehen.